Good evening to all of you, and I am thrilled to welcome you all to what promises to be an inciting and insightful discussion into one of the hottest topics in education right now, which is the role of social and emotional learning into shaping the future generation. So tonight we'll go beyond the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s to explore what really adds value to young lives, which is building empathy, resilience, and emotional intelligence. So why social and emotional learning, and why now? Because today, it's about more than just academic success. It's about building individuals who know themselves, care for others, and contribute positively to the society. So today we'll discuss how we can bring social and emotional learning to schools, classrooms, homes, and communities to make that happen. So let's start with the discussion. And I would like to start with Mr. Anand Srinivasan. Given that... Yes, so given that StayQrious Neoschool is known for its innovative learning methods, first I would like to know from you, how do you think social and emotional learning is essential, and how do you see that its implementation can be a challenge given the technology-driven education model?
Cool. I mean, by the way, that's a very long answer, but yeah. How is it important for the students, right? So if I have some time, I'll probably highlight the point of like, hey, you know what, a couple of decades back, the main problem that when we were kids, we were facing was that, hey, quality education, quality explanation of content wasn't available to us. Like, for example, I was struggling with, hey, I'm not able to understand this math concept. Can somebody help me with that? And, you know, I wasn't able to find good resources available. But today in this age, if you see, those problems have been kind of sorted. We have Khan Academy, where I worked before, and, you know, like amazing resources available. We have internet. We have many YouTubers online actually providing content available to us. We have AI coming into picture, which is like, you know what, hey, if you want any explanation, it will be patiently able to explain you things, which, I mean, it's really hard for us teachers to actually be that patient with students at times, right? So the problem of quality content is kind of like sorted, at least. But the main challenge that is still there is like, why do I want to learn this? If you ask a child today, hey, this is a math concept that you want to learn, and the child is like, hey, but why should I be learning this? My friends are playing video games outside. Can I go and play with them? The distraction, the impulse control, those kind of become like a really bigger challenge for them. Along with it, social emotional problems, like, you know what, I feel shy. I'm not able to talk to other people, other peers of mine, or I'm being bullied. I don't know how to actually tackle that. And these are the issues that are actually kind of hindering their learning while they are progressing, right? And these become like a really big issue in their life. And that's why social emotional learning kind of becomes like a bigger challenge for them to, hey, if you tackle that foundation, you will be able to get higher achievement from the students. In my opinion, it's like, you know what, you want to create individuals who are like well-rounded in the future. That's the main problem statement that all of us are trying to solve for the students, right? Now, one of the problems was that, hey, get quality content out for them and hope that everybody will be able to understand using that quality content. But that problem has been sorted, and still we are not able.
सन्मान सुरक्षा भारी नवनव्या योजना दारी महाराष्ट्र धर्म जपणारी ही महाविकास आघाडी नवीन आशा महाराष्ट्राच्या नव्या सुराज्याची दिशा विकासाची स्वाभिमानी महाराष्ट्र घडवूया महाविकास आघाडी निवडूया.
These, if you look at, it's actually stemming from anxiety, social emotional issues. If you talk about shyness, about bullying, all of these are social emotional issues. If you talk about, hey, how can I actually mingle well with other kids of my own and actually believe in myself that I can learn things? Many of the kids today don't even believe that I can actually do well. I can actually conquer whatever I want to. All of these are deeply rooted social emotional issues. That's a pain point, the main issue that we have figured out. And my belief today is that if you're able to solve that pain point, you will be able to solve all the problems that build on top of this. So that's why my answer would be that, hey, social emotional learning is the most important part.
Yes, so this brings me to my next question to Mr. Raj Singhal. You work very closely with kids in the formative years. And why do you think social and emotional learning is essential in childhood education? And how can it help in long-term development?
Sure, excellent question. So we normally think in early years, at least in India, A, B, C, D, or making children learn 1, 2, 3 is far more important. But if you look at the research, it says 90% brain development happens by the age of 5. So whatever habits you form, whatever skills you develop in those early years, those go long way in defining who you will be. And eventually, if you look at in the adult life of a human, especially in today's era, I'm an engineer by degree, but I hardly ever use my analytical skills that much or my math and physics skill that much. What I really use is actually how do I communicate with my team members, how do I get the work done. So these social emotional skills are far more important in today's era when you have a team in multi-location, etc. So starting those skill development right at the early age becomes extremely important.
Right. So this brings me to you, Ms. Anooja Bashir, who has an impressive expertise in digital solutions. So there is one challenge in implementing social and emotional learning, and that is that, today there is this early exposure of technology to kids. So even a 2-year-old is scrolling through phone. Some kids would just refuse to eat until you play something on YouTube. And also there is this early introduction of technology. Like decades ago, it used to be so that only the heads of the family would have phone. Then, parents would say 10 years ago that, you clear 12th and then you get a phone. And then you clear 10th and you get a phone. But today, it's like even a toddler has a personal tab. So what happens is that it does impact our attention span and social skills. So one, why do you think it is essential, especially in this digital age? And how do you see this technology being a challenge in terms of implementing social and emotional learning?
Okay. So as we all have heard about the tagline, technology is a boon or a bane. So let me start with a basic fundamental thing where we have been hearing from our generations. So as generations have evolved, today is a Gen Z world. So I have my 2 Gen Zs out there, two of my kids out there, Rahil and Afrin. So I know how Gen Z is their response to things at this age. What was I doing at this age and how would I respond? So the simple answer is that the access to technology, the very information that they can get at the tip of their hand through their cell phones and any gadgets they use. So today, getting knowledge is not something that is a constraint or something that is hindering them to collect information. But what are they going to how are they going to leverage that information that matters? And most of you might have seen these ad where, social media, there was, at a point, that was a troll kind of thing, where at a point of time, people used to sit and discuss things. And the next post would be everybody, the mother, the father, even the grandmother and the grandfather is sitting in the phone and everybody is WhatsApping. So this is something, even I saw an ad today, which is of Samsung Inox or something, where everybody was celebrating Diwali, but few years back, they were celebrating it different, and now everybody is on the gadget again. So this is all happening because we're all busy with our life. Technology has evolved in a level where we're kind of obsessed with it. Like, the way the Ram said, it's a pattern. Because we're obsessed with pattern, in our daily life, we are so kind of clinched to our phones, to our gadgets. We are the ones who are giving this kind of, we are being the model to our own children. So sometimes we have to understand that what we are doing, our children are just imitating the same thing. So Unfortunately, because we can't get out of this, that is another. But something what we can do is that we can imbibe values to it. Specifically speaking about, building empathy towards other fellow humans, which is very much required at this era. Say, similarly, what I've seen in the young generation is that their resilience is very, very little, because they don't know how to embrace failures. I'm a twice a failure startup. From there, I've created the entire empire what I have today. So failure is a stepping stone, as it really means, because failure teaches you everything. But today's generation is so much kind of confused with that, because they don't have a clarity of the peer pressure around them is kind of like, oh, if I fail, that means I don't have an existence anymore. It is affecting my individuality, my personality. So these are the areas where we need to kind of teach students or even our own children, I mean, in both ways, personally and professionally, that you need to learn values, you need to build resilience, because this is what next generation needs. Because we don't need leaders anymore, we need change makers.
Right, absolutely. And Ms. Vimi Vansil, as Managing Director of the Indian Institute of Fashion and Design, you are the one who is guiding young creators. Now my question to you is, how do you think social and emotional learning can help students in creative fields? And also, what role does sustainable fashion play in shaping students' values and emotional connection?
Hi, good evening. First of all, I say thanks to Times Now, who invited me to discuss this very progressive topic. So when the students are coming to after the school, so they have become teenagers. So through the designing, we are trying to find what is the problem they are facing. See, one is very interesting subject we created in the college, that is called color psychology. So with the colors, we get to know what kind of the mindset they have, what kind of the mood they have, what they want to do. They're destructive, they are emotional. So we are trying to try to understand their mood, their problems. So we created one department also, where our teachers, they are sitting one-to-one with them. If, for example, my students, they are working with the blue colors, means they're very cool and calm. If they're working with, red and orange colors, they're very aggressive. So we are trying to tell them how to make a discipline, as well as how to maintain balance in their emotions, as well as the creative working. So students जब हमारे पास जहाँ तक आते हैं, उस टाइम तक students का एक ऐसा एज ग्रुप शुरू हो जाता है वहाँ पे, बिकॉज स्कूल से जब वो निकल के आता है स्टूडेंट, तो उसका चाइल्ड बेस एक सेट हो चुका होता है. उस बेस के उस पे देन वी स्टार्ट टेकिंग स्टूडेंट्स को कि उसको किस तरीके से वी हैव टू मोल्ड, उसको क्या समझाना है, क्या नहीं समझाना. सो फॉर दैट इवन वी मेक अ ब्रिज विद द पेरेंट्स as well as the teachers. So we are sending the reports to the parents. We are inviting the parents, so they will come and they'll see what kind of work the students are doing. So if the students, for example, if student is coming, and the teacher will say, very good morning, the student will be very happy. They answer very happily, very good morning. So then you understand the mindset when in the morning the student is coming for the class. So through designing, we are creating group discussions. We are giving the project in the group. We are not sending the students individuals, because if you send the students in a group, they will learn how to help each other. The self-confidence, they can develop the PR, because after in the future, they have to take a work from the market, they have to meet with the people. Through 3-4 people, they will learn the communication, they balance the emotions, the confidence level become up when we are doing these activities with the students. So through designing, we are trying a lot how the student maintain the balance with the designing, with the creative work. Because creativity, end of the day, when they are doing something, so when they are creating something, so we understand. For example, the students are designing very abstract designing. So if I say design this, so every time students start developing the abstract prints. Why he is doing always the abstract prints working? Why he is not working with the florals? So then we used to give a time to the student. We understand what is the problem they are facing, what is the problem is going on at their place. So we try to communicate with their parents also. What is the problem behind this? We are trying our level best. How we can students give us strength emotionally and socially.
But I would, we have spoken a lot about the importance and significance of social and emotional learning. But let's also discuss a little bit about, I would like to know it from you, Ram, if there actually any way we can measure the impact of social and emotional learning. How do we exactly know whether what we are doing is actually benefiting the kids or not? Because when it comes to academics, let's say maths or any other subject for that matter, we can actually see, okay, fine, this is where this kid needs improvement. But when it comes to social and emotional learning, how do we measure that?
Oh yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of research already done on this topic, right?
Yes.
So one of the data points, and I'm just gonna put some data points out there, is like, see, social emotional learning is not just that, hey, it's gonna help you be a different individual which cannot be measured, but it is indirectly going to affect even in your academic process, right? Data has shown that, hey, there is 11 percentile growth in academic progress for kids who have been trained on social emotional learning. Because of the fact that social emotional learning also encompasses that, like, hey, how do you build good habits? How do you manage emotions? How do you manage your anxiety levels when you are like dealing with tough math concepts, things like that, right? And that helps you actually learn things better. Another aspect is that, David H. Burns, who is a cognitive behavior psychologist, he has written a book on feeling good called. And he talks about that, hey, in his studies, what he found out that people who just read his books, they were at par with people who were, clinically depressed and were recommended medicines, right? And that's a really big evidence that, just by being aware of cognitive behavior psychology, you're able to kind of fight and not be reliant on medicines actually to deal with depression. And imagine what good we can do just by teaching our kids about these things early on. We will be able to prevent these issues from happening in the future, right? So these are just a few aspects that you can actually see happening in the future. And if you want anecdotal evidence, I can tell you from my own school experiences. Just 1 quarter in, 3 months in, one of our students was like, after learning how to create habits, how to build actually better habits, he was able to kind of like said that, hey, I want to run 10 kilometers, marathon. And after like a month or so, he was able to achieve the goal of 5 kilometers running. After another month or so, he was able to achieve like 10 kilometers running. Of course, there was a lot of, help that went in the back end. Hey, how to stick to your habits, how to not give into anxiety, how to not give into like, you get distracted quite a lot. But how to actually be resilient through all of this and stick to it, right? And there are like many stories coming from our school actually where people are able to implement these social emotional learning skills and actually improve.
Right.
So yes.
Right. So, Ms. Anooja, I would like to know from you, talking about anxiety. Now, one problem is that there's a lot of negativity that's coming the kids' way today because of the early exposure to social media. Now, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of trolling. And the peer pressure that you were just talking about is not just coming from the kids in the school, but also from the kids who are living maybe in a different country or continent. So what happens is that a lot of things which perhaps were unacceptable or maybe we used to warn our kids against earlier have now become common and cool, like abusing, trolling, all of that, right? So how do you think we can balance social and emotional learning? Because you definitely cannot take that phone away from the kids.
Absolutely, you can't take away. That's what I said. Technology should be leveraged in the most positive manner. It has to be. But what we can do is that it's all about creating awareness, making kids also understand. Try to talk with them. The biggest part is that we have reached a world where we are. We are reluctant to talk to each other. Sometimes we are so involved in our own problems. When you are in a problem, you never can find a solution. But a person who's not in that turbulence might see a third angle to it, not emotionally, but more logically. So, to create a mental stability, or rather, I would call it something called a mental wellness. These are very important, not only for the children, but for also for the adults. Because if you see these children who are, graduating from their 10th and 12th and all, once they get into the college, there's so much, because I take classes for IIMs and IITs. So I've seen IIM students, most of them would be in loans, or the peer pressure is like that they are in IIM, so they need to get in the corporates. So every time the problem is, they are in such a situation that more than what they want to achieve, it's like a rat race. It's like a competitive rat race where everybody is in that marathon. Okay, who's going to get first? So what is happening to their mental wellness? So this is something which only I think schools, because like, if you're making that awareness right from the school, by the time they reach the college, they have an understanding, okay, this is how it is. And they also realize that emotionally hurting a person is not something that they need to be proud of. Because by doing that, they are bringing their own dark sides. So the only thing what we can try to do is that even through social media, we can create, schools can give awareness, parents can talk about this, educators can talk about it, media can talk about that. And if we create such a culture, the mental stability of these, not only the kids, the adults, whoever it is, we will be able to nurture a beautiful society as such, and we to an extent we'll be really successful in shaping the future generation.
I would like to listen from you, Ms. Vimi Vansil, because this is one of the problems that also students in the creative fields also face a lot. So how do you think students can use fashion as a tool for developing self-confidence and managing anxiety?
See, through design, when the students are doing designing, so then mindset is total different. That time when suppose we are giving a theme, you are work on it, so then they are on a different zone. When student is wearing something, they are choosing something, they become very confident. So when they are going somewhere, they have to choose a different kind of a clothes. For example, they are going for the party, they are going for get together, they are going with the parents. So we are trying to teach them how to choose the design, how to choose the fabric, what kind of fabric you require. So that time the student mindset submit, because that time I don't want my student should be again 24 hours on the mobiles only, because whatever they are looking, the mind is your scanner. Whatever they are looking, they start doing the same. So their creativity somewhere we found is killed somewhere. So that is the reason we have to adopt these small activities we should do. We should make some rules and regulation. We should make some discipline. At least then students can be more and more confident. Only through designing we are trying to give them the group discussions. We are giving the project to the product designs. We are giving the project for the designing only. So when they're choosing the clothes, they are very confident. They are choosing different colors. They come in a different mood. So how we are trying to help in the design.
Right. I have just one last very, very important question to Mr. Raj Singhal. In case of rural areas or villages, kids are still being raised in joint families where there are a lot of people of different age groups and of mindsets and moods who are actually contributing to their upbringing, right? But when it comes to metro cities and urban settings, what really happens is that, let's say it's a single child, both the parents are working, and even if you ensure social and emotional learning activities in the school, when this child comes back home, all he has to interact with is a nanny, if there is one, or 2-3 kids in the neighborhood, if that kind of interaction is happening, which has also come down significantly. And then again, the kid goes back to the gadgets, right? So how and to what extent do you think schools can bridge this gap?
Sure. So I'll talk in general how we can bridge that gap, and I think schools can play that some role, but I think parents have to play a larger role. So one thing, I think as parents, we have a habit of preaching to our children a lot. In reality, all of us as a children did what our parents did, not what our parents told us. So it's important for us to do what we preach, so that children also do the same thing. So I think that's something that as a parent we can certainly bring on the table. Second, I think there could be a lot more communication. Typically, when a child comes back home, mother would ask, how was your day today? they would never, as a parent, I would never tell my children that this is how my day went, this is my challenges. Parents think it's some greatness not to talk about the challenges they are facing. If you don't open up, your children will never open up. So if you want your children to actually develop those skills, those emotional skills and social skills, you need to open up with your children so that they can open up with you. So I think that's what parents can do, and school can give some sort of a homework, some sort of assignments through which that collaboration can happen.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this session on social and emotional learning, one thing that we have learned is that it's not just an add-on. It's actually the secret sauce which can help students excel in not only schools but also in other areas of their lives. A huge thank you to our incredible panelists for all the stories, insights and strategies on this topic, and to all of you for being such a patient audience. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.